Alrighty, hello everyone. Welcome to my Sunday stock watch. So, this is for the week of June 2nd. Today is June 1st, but let's get right into it. So, earnings this week, let's go over that first thing. Not too many, but there are a couple that I'm going to be watching. So, CrowdStrike on Tuesday after market close is something I'm watching for. Not much going on Wednesday, and then Thursday, what I'm going to be watching for is Broadcom, Lululemon, and that is about it for this week in earnings. Not too crazy. I know last week we had Nvidia, so that was a lot. Next, let's get into economic data going on for this next week. So, Monday, we don't have a whole lot going on. We do have ISM manufacturing and then some Fed speakers. And then we do have Jerome Powell at 1 p.m., but that is a little bit later in the day. I probably won't be trading at that time, but if you are trading at that time, just make sure you are aware of that. Tuesday, we will have factory orders, job openings, which is important, and then some Fed speakers. Wednesday, we do have ADP employment, more Fed speakers, and then Fed Beige Book, which is going to be of high importance. Thursday, we'll have initial jobless claims, trade deficit, productivity, and then some more Fed speakers. So, not too much going on for this week, but still a good amount. And then Friday, we do have bigger things going on like employment report, unemployment rate, consumer credit. That will all be important. So make sure you are, you know, watching for those couple of things. So let's get right into it. Overnight market has just opened now. Let's get on the 1 hour time frame. So we did see, a pretty massive range last week. We saw Qs down to 512. We saw Qs all the way up to 530. So currently, right now, overnight, we're sitting at 517.70. Seems like the market is pretty undecided of where it wants to go. But I definitely do think, going into this next week, I would like to see us retrace back down at least to 515 to 512 area before getting a push higher. Again, this doesn't have to happen, but we will see. Back to what I was saying, I got rudely interrupted. But anyways, I would like to see Qs retrace back down to 515 to 512 area before continuing higher this week. That is basically, what my bias is going into this next week, especially on the daily chart, depending on how this candle starts to form for today, for tomorrow, that daily candle. But we still do have this kind of opening gap right here as well. But I obviously do not think we're going to fill that. We are pretty bullish unless, of course, Trump comes out and wants to say something. But that is kind of what I'm aiming for this week. Tomorrow and Tuesday, I would like to see us retrace back to that 512 area, back down here, 515 to 512. And then we get a nice move higher. We could see Qs back at 525 to even 530, depending on how much we move and what type of news we get today. SPY, same sort of thing. Currently, right now, we are sitting at 588.18. So, not super unchanged from Friday or anything. But again, I would like to see SPY retrace back down to lower 580 area into 583, 580, 582, and then get a nice push higher back into 594 to 597 range. That would be pretty ideal. Next thing going forward, actually, let's go over Tesla first. So Tesla's currently sitting at 342. Let's go on the 1 hour time frame. I'm pretty bullish on Tesla still. As long as we continue to hold up 340 and we keep seeing back into that 350 range, I do think eventually Tesla is going to end up pushing back well above 360 into 375, 380 even, and then, we'll see back near 400 like we did, back in December. So that is kind of what I'm aiming for on Tesla. I don't know, the timeline of when that will happen. Just hoping tomorrow we continue to stay above. Let's go to the 1 hour. Tomorrow we continue to stay above this 340 area, and then we get, maybe a nice continuation up. If in the case that Tesla doesn't continue, if we break through 338 range, we could easily see back into that 325. But again, like I said, Tesla does seem very bullish. But, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt right now. Next thing, Nvidia. So we're currently sitting at 134.06. So again, everything is mainly pretty unchanged from Friday. Market is still kind of trying to decipher what happened last week with all that crazy news going on, tariffs, getting denied, never mind, all of that good stuff, and Nvidia earnings. So Nvidia seeming pretty bullish. I would like to see us continue to hold above this 132 to 134 range, and then get a nice continuation back up into 135 to 137. But I don't think we're going to see much price action, for Nvidia. It's not a super big mover. So next, before we go over coin, let's go over Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, obviously, we've been holding up like 103. Did not mean to do that. We've been holding up 103 really nicely. And we do look like we want to continue higher. So I would like to see above 106. Bitcoin holding above 106 to see that and continue higher. In that case, I am pretty bullish on coin. And right now, coin is currently sitting at 248.28. So we are up a little bit since Friday. Would definitely like to see this continuation. If we are back above 250, we could easily see into that 260, 265 area. So that would be ideal for me. If Bitcoin cannot hold this up, coin, we could see kind of die off into 235. So just be watching for that. Apple is at a pretty tough spot. 200 is if we break back below 200, easily back into 190. If we can hold above 200, easily back into 205 to 210 area. But currently, Apple right now is sitting at literally the same price, 225. 225. Meta, I've been watching. We haven't been getting, any crazy movements on it. I've been able to kind of get a couple intraday trades out of it. But Meta is currently sitting at 645.59. So again, still very unchanged from Friday, going into tomorrow, hoping that changes. But if we continue to hold up this 640 range, we could easily see back above 650 to 660 almost if Meta is bullish and decides to move next week. If it does not, and we do not hold up this 640, we could easily see back into 635 to 625. So I would just be watching for that. Next, I'm going to skip over these. Palantir is a good one. We'll talk about this one. Let's see. So Palantir is currently sitting at 131.30. So obviously we're kind of been just making new highs. So we could easily continue this up. Above here, again, I don't really know where we could go. This is a new spot. But if we continue to hold up 130, I am going to, guess that we will continue making new highs. If we break back below 130, we could trade in the 125 to 130 range. Next, I'll go over MSTR. So MSTR, same kind of scenario as coin. So we're currently sitting at 371.97. We've been kind of sitting in this spot for a bit last week. Again, I really like us holding above 372 to get a pushback up into that 390 area. Again, MSTR moves a ton, even to 400 if Bitcoin can hold up 106 and get a very nice continuation up. If we don't, MSTR could continue this downtrend back into 350, even 345. So just be preparing and watching for that. Broadcom, we got earnings this week, so make sure, you're aware of that. And I think that is it for me. I'll go over NQ real quick. So obviously I would ideally like to see down to, on this 1 hour chart, I would like to see down to like 21.75 range. Sweep those lows and then get a nice continuation. Same sort of thing like I said with QQQ. I want to see down to 515 to 512 range and then get a very nice continuation up. So that is kind of the first case scenario I would like to see, is us reach to this point, sweep these lows, and then, get a continuation back up to 21,300, maybe push up into 21,500. and above there, depending on, again, what type of news and price action we get this week. So that is going to be it for my Sunday stock watch. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later. Make sure to join me in bio in my private community.